I'm going to be discussing in the next few videos the building of the bus. I'm going to break it into 4 parts. Part 1 will be what we came into the project with, our skills, the money that we had, and then the costs, the mindsets that we had to go through to build the project, um, and basic preparation and planning. Part 2 will then be discussing the building of the bus itself. Part 3 will then be the building, making it into a home, making our bus a home. And then part 4 will be the mechanical side of things. Coming into this project, we had about 150,000 Rand. That was a result of us selling our previous property, and we then did renovations. We did rezoning of the property so that it became a school, and after all the dust had settled, we had some money left over. And then there was a little bit of work that I had done on the side after school that also brought in some extra money, and that's what we came into the project with. It seems like it was a large amount of money. To me, it's a lot of money, but for making a house, it actually is quite tight. And also, if you think that we have to get the bus going, we weren't sure if we were going to have enough, and we had to keep that in our back of our mind every time we made a purchase. As mentioned in a previous video, we had decided to go for a double-decker bus. This was mainly because coming from a big house and downscaling, we didn't want it to feel too cramped for the kids, and we wanted them still to have their own space, their own rooms. And in a way, this actually worked out better for us. The double-decker prices were a bit cheaper. When we looked online, we found this one that we actually bought for 35,000 Rand, and there was another one at the same time going for 25,000 Rand, whereas most of the single-decker buses were actually double this or even more. So it actually worked out in our favor. Sonia and I both come from a teaching background, but I did have some experience in working with my hands. I did some renovations and handyman work after school just to bring in some extra cash in previous years. So coming to this project, I did have a bit of a knowledge. I knew what to expect when we took this project on. But saying that, I wouldn't say that my skill level was anything more than the average person that's done a bit of work around the house. After viewing the bus online, the next logical step was to go and have a look at the bus. The bus was an unfinished project. The owner had tried to make a tour bus, convert it into a tour bus, and in doing so, he had cut the top level. He'd left the first 3 windows behind, and then from the third window onwards back, the bus had been cut off. And because it was unfinished project, it had been sitting in the elements for a number of years. So when we had a walkthrough, we found that there was a lot of rust. A lot of the framework had actually been rusted right through. The floorboards were rotten, and although the chairs had been removed, there was still a lot of work to be done before we could actually go into the building side of things. For us, it was fortunate the owner had kept all the side windows. There was just the front top floor window and the back window that was missing. In most bus rebuilds, the people actually take all the windows out and change it with different windows, but for us this was going to be too costly, and we were trying to keep within our budget. So we were glad that all the windows are there. We just needed to put them back in. The framework and the roof rebuild wasn't too much of a concern for me. Coming from my background where I've worked with my hands before and I've done similar jobs before, I figured out I could do it myself, or if I needed to learn something, I could look online or ask somebody for help. The part that was a bit concerning for me was the actual mechanical side of things, the motor, getting that all running, and other systems within the bus to get it roadworthy. That was my biggest concern. There was a bit of comfort in that he showed us a video. He could show us a video of the bus starting and running and idling, except that he couldn't do it in front of us, which again put us on a bit on edge. With the concerns running in the back of our mind about getting the bus actually going again, and then the amount of time and effort it would take to rebuild the roof, we thought it best to have a look at another double-decker bus just to weigh up the options. And the one that we found online was had been sitting in central Joburg for a number of years as a restaurant. It had been converted into a restaurant. Bodywork was pretty good condition. Just one of the side panels had been removed to make a roller space for a roller door, so for entrance and exit. But the big problem with that one was that it had no motor. And when we looked at the cost of getting another motor put in, it was going to be between 50,000. Going one was about 50,000 Rand. But on an interesting side point, the owner of this bus told us he had an offer for 25,000 to just scrap it. He wasn't happy with that idea. He wanted to keep it as a bus, but for the scrap metal, it was worth 25,000 rand according to him. So our next step was to go home and run the numbers and make a decision. In the back of my mind, I was thinking from our research that the motor in the first bus was worth between 35 and 55,000 rand, and the second bus owner telling us that the bus was worth 25,000 rand scrapped with scrap metal. I sort of in the back of my mind thought we've got about 55 to 75,000 rand that we could play with there. If things didn't go right, we could always sell it and either break even as long as we didn't spend more than that, or even make a profit if we sold it straight away. So we took a leap of faith and we paid the money over, and while we waited for it to clear in the owner's account, our emotions went up and down. There was a roller coaster of highs, excitement, and lows and depression. What the heck did we do here? So our first challenge came in that we now needed to get the bus to our house. So we made a purchase for the bus, our first purchases, a wheel spanner and a jack. And then when we got to the bus, I realized the jack I bought was too big, so we actually needed to buy another jack. Then lifted up the bus and took off two of the wheels. Because it had been sitting so long, two of the wheels had actually been damaged and were unusable. So we needed to then load them onto the bakkie with a lot of effort, me and Sonia, and we got new wheels put on there. And then we had to find a tow truck that could actually take the bus to our house, and we eventually found one that was able to do so for us. The bus arrived the day before Katie's birthday party, the Friday night. So the Saturday morning, Friday night we were excited, Saturday morning came and my emotions went crazy. What on earth have we done? We've got this monster, this ugly beast sitting outside our front step, literally a meter away from our door. And we've got the school that's got to run there. There was no words to explain how I felt that moment. I was losing my mind. I thought then and there we're gonna sell this thing and just be rid of it, get rid of it. I was in shock. It also didn't help that our family was gonna arrive in a few hours for Katie's birthday, and they're gonna want a tour and they're gonna look at it. And I'm pretty sure many of them, when they left after that party, they shook their heads and said, "These guys are nuts." I mean, there wasn't much to look at. It was a big project that we had taken on, and we weren't even sure ourselves if we were going to manage to get through it. So I'll see you in the next video now, where we'll discuss part 2, the building of the framework, rebuilding the roof and the floors, and the structure of the bus.